Are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. We're here today to speak about your offerings of performances that are directed towards expanding people's awareness of themselves and of others, the whole universe. Where did you actually begin your artistic journey?
There's an interesting story. My mother was living with her college friends at the time, and we're looking for this young little birthday girl all over the house and couldn't find her anywhere. They end up going across the street to the retirement center and finding her dancing and singing for the retirement center. Elderly people.
That's a funny story. Your family is like,
where is she? So I think that was the start.
Okay, 2 years old. Where were you living at that time?
North of Denver.
When did you actually move to Eureka Springs?
2004. Predominantly classical ballet. Wonderful, wonderful instructors. I was the type of student that had a fever for dance. At about 14, I really locked in and started doing 6 hours a day, faithfully. So after about 14, 15, I started finding the best of the best. So I would go and interview the instructors and find who I wanted to study with. I studied with a gentleman that all of us can remember. Eddie Gasper is his name, and he was Bob Fosse's right-hand man in New York for 9 years. So I studied with him and his wife. They have a company called Carousel. It used to be Red River Dance Performing. They moved out of New York to Moorhead, Minnesota, and I studied with them. I've also studied with Irina Doldova. She was one of my favorite instructors. She gave me 2.5 hours every day for years, and she had moved here from Russia, right before the change of Russia. She was in South America and then had made it to Phoenix, and she was incredible, Baganova style, classical. And another lady, Jean Austin, she was out of DuPage and in Chicago. And she saw me when I was young, about 15. I went to audition for something, and she grabbed me up and gave me 2.5 hours every day for 2 years, would not take my money, and trained me.
Oh my goodness. She saw your potential, and she just wanted to contribute. Who knows, someone might have done that to her, and she wanted to pay it forward.
Right. It was really fascinating. I remember the first couple weeks that I was training with her, there was one day I was in class and I hadn't learned how to let go of all of the jargon in our head when I came into class. And she looked at me and she said, leave. I said, what do you mean leave? I'm right in the middle of class. Leave. She goes, until you can figure out how to be present, you don't come to class. So I was like devastated. I walked out of class, and the next day, I came an hour before class, and I breathed and tried to figure out what it meant to let go of my mind so I could be really present. My first one was with an opera company in Moorhead, and I was 15, just turning 16, and I did some soloist work, and that was phenomenal. That was my first really serious role.
What was it?
It was for Magic Flute. It was in the opera Magic Flute.
All right.
So before that, I was actually at Ballet Art in Denver, Colorado, before I moved to Moorhead. One of my really significant companies that I worked with was Open Dance, and that was Michelle Ceballos Cote, and she was from American Ballet Theater, and she was a brilliant choreographer, and still is. She has a company out.
And what brought you to Eureka?
My folks had moved from Phoenix to Missouri, and there was a point in my life, well, my daughter's life. I had my daughter at 23 when I was working with Arizona Ballet, and I looked back one day and I saw the pollution in the air, and I told myself, what kind of mother am I to let my daughter grow up here? I can't turn my head any longer. So I started planting the seed with her, how to look at the environment a little differently and see what she really wanted. And a year later she said, I'm ready to move out of the city. And so we followed them here. It was really challenging because I had the mindset that I had to do my art in the city. You know, that's what I'd done for years. You know, the city is where the art's happening. We had lived in Cassville, Missouri before I moved to Eureka Springs. And then when I found Eureka Springs, I'm like, okay, I can exhale. There's enough art in this area to cultivate some of my passions. When I moved here, significantly, my focus was a company, not necessarily a studio. So I was doing other things. We had a wood business. We were tearing down old barns. While I was doing the wood business, I had parents left and right come and ask me to teach. Please teach. There's nobody teaching. Please teach. So I ended up finding that I was doing 60 hours a week running that business and teaching. And I said, I can't do this. It's not why I moved out of the city. So I made choices. I let go of the business and started a studio then. So I had a studio for 7-8 years, kept renting space and having theater and dance and production. I've had over 35 years classical ballet training and performing, and some jazz as well in that over the years. Now it's unfolding into contemporary dance, progressive ballet, improv contact improv, either way.
Your own personal wavelength, right down to our own personal wavelength. And the example is that we can feel our way using all the principles we should teach and have a very light presence of our weight, right? So everything explore that. So just go walk as if it's really, really light. Everything. Be careful. Very careful. We still add Bartina's head-tail connection, or whatever we want to add with that with the after your augmented breath somewhere in that, incorporate the skin or release. Okay, so here we go. We're going to work on this. Now you talk. You've got to give me weight at some point. There is a bit of weight sharing in this activity, and then we can move on.
I've been catapulted into this new zone because of my daughter. It's almost 4 years ago now, she had a seasonal allergy shot, which she had never had before, which was what the doctor had suggested she partake in because she had allergies. The needle had gone through her sciatic nerve to her bone, and immediately after that she noticed that something wasn't right, and by that night she couldn't walk on her leg, and we spent 6 months trying to figure out what was wrong. We felt it was from the shot, but they didn't understand that. So we ended up on this rampage through the medical. She's still basically bedridden and on a wheelchair. So through that, I've started to look at dance and movement in another way. You know, it's been incredibly challenging. My daughter's in tremendous amount of pain with a leg that doesn't work. So that started me looking at movement and it propelled me into understanding somatics a little different, mind-body balancing, and how we have inner cues inside of us that can release old trauma, that can support our alignment